Welcome back to Casterly Talk, and this is it. Years in the making, perhaps even longer than the show lasted itself. The Casterly Talk Game of Thrones rewatch concludes. I won't get too lost in that lore, especially for people swinging through, but we started this years ago. Rachel Cushing and I sat down to review the first episode, season 1, episode 1. The channel grew, the channel contracted, the channel went away, the channel came back. And one of the reasons we're even back now is the man right here in the middle is Jared the Tie Pilot, who started calling into my other show, The Blather, and said, I'm going to make you talk about Game of Thrones again. We picked up the rewatch at the end of season 4, and Jared Alden Diaz with us here as well. We are finally here. Season 8, episode 6, The Iron Throne.
We made it, Ken. The internet didn't cancel us. The government didn't censor us. The world has not completely burned down yet.
Well, they didn't succeed, is what you mean. Like there were attempts. They didn't succeed.
Exactly. You know, like the metal, we are too strong.
Too strong, indeed. So we'll start here, and we're not going to break format here. Jared will run through some of the little details of the episode, and we'll dive into it. But Alden, you were talking off air. This is very fun to revisit 6 years after it aired, which means we're very close to following Tyrion's words and warnings.
Yes, yeah, and people that have been following the rewatch, I'm popping in just for the last one, so it's kind of like a surprise character in the battle. I'm like Melisandre showing up, I guess, to like add some fire. Will it do much? Remains to be seen. But I was very excited that you guys invited me to watch this one, and I hit that Tyrion scene, which we'll talk about, and I thought, oh, we're doing what he said. Like that's what the rewatch exercise has resulted in, and I don't think I've seen it since late that year, early 2020 at most recent, probably. So it's been a long time because I have this is just a me thing. I'm not somebody with any show that I love that says, I'm going to check out that episode. I'm a full rewatcher.
Right.
So if I'm not doing it, I'm probably not going to see season 8 for a while,
Yeah. No, same. No. It's been a while since I revisited this, the actual finale, the final episode. And it was a fun journey. We are unabashed season 8 fans, but that doesn't mean that we don't think season 8 is without criticism or scorn to be had. In this episode, we'll dive into some of the details. I think there's some choices in there that I love, some I don't, and also just some beautiful visuals in this episode I want to celebrate as a Game of Thrones fan. But Jared, your overall thoughts as we dive in and give us some of those details.
You got it. Gentlemen, we made it. The Iron Throne, Season 8, Episode 6, written and directed by D&D. And this time, our final cinematographer was Jonathan Friedman. Yep, like you said, we're almost at that exact 10-year, May 19th, 2019. And oof, what a way to end it. The bittersweet ending that they promised us and definitely paid on for me. That it was just, this is... I had my own fun ways I would want it to end. I even joked to people, I'm like, listen, the ballsiest ending would have been the Army of the Dead wins the whole thing. The Night King is standing in King's Landing, looks east towards Essos, steps on the water, and it starts to freeze.
And that's a spinoff? Is that the,
Yep. That, that's the whole new show. That's,
called
Night
After
King,
Westeros.
Tropical.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
But it was, and it, for better or worse, mostly worse sometimes, the internet exploded and had many opinions on this episode that I'll just say politely, I did not agree with.
Yeah, and look, this is the 73rd and final episode overall. This was also, I'm reading here for some of the notes there, that this was an episode that Benioff and Weiss received directing and writing nominations for the 71st Primetime Emmy Awards. This was Emmy nominated. And Kit Harington and Peter Dinklage selected this episode to support their nominations as well. And Dinklage actually got the victory here. And as we said, that's maybe overall for season 8 and everything. But, performers and studios and agents and everything, they choose specific episodes. That's how it works. And I think it's an interesting choice for them to choose this episode for them. We mentioned Emilia Clarke picked another episode earlier this season, right? We talked about that, Jared. Jared, let's address up top here what you talk about too. This episode had no chance. This episode had no chance. I knew it had no chance to successfully land the plane by episode 3 of the season, maybe even by episode 2. But episode 2 ends with the Brienne stuff, and we're uplifted. We're ready for battle. But once the long night fails to win over all the audience, which we did that review, check that one out. I knew this one. There's nothing they could do. Nothing they could do, and they took some big swings and kept with the bittersweet thing. But Alden, what was your thoughts? Take me back to 2019 with you. Take me to your thoughts going into this episode after what had already happened this season.
I mean, I don't want to add like 40 minutes to this episode doing like cultural context, but it is hard to like avoid that. I'm 30. We were actually just talking about our ages off air and everything, and I'm 30, and so I grew up with the around the, I can't even say water cooler because I didn't have a job as a student, around the school, around the parents talking chatter that culturally the Seinfeld ending sucked, the Sopranos ending quote unquote sucked, and the Lost ending sucked. And so I kind of knew that shows let people down, and I knew that even shows that didn't let people down, like one of my favorite shows, Angel, they didn't get to finish the way they wanted. So like endings were always a rocky proposition, just like in my cultural understanding. And Ken, you have some great thoughts about how we're just like psychologically not equipped for them sometimes, like so, in a real way. Like, and it's not like you're broken, but just like culturally, we can't accept them the same. So all of that kind of had me already primed, even during season 7, when it was oh no, these are going to be 2 shorter seasons. Like there was some preparing for it to be bad in the culture. And so but then 7 kind of is still very crowd pleasing, but then here, like you, so I already had this like from the second this season started, and it just got worse every episode. And by this one, I wish it wasn't this way, but I went into this one battered and bruised and feeling like I didn't have Ken at the time. I certainly didn't have Jared. I certainly didn't have Nikki Kumar. I didn't have Rachel. There was a lot of people that we picked up along the way to speak this language. And at the time I was basically Dunk, to invoke a different show. I was Dunk, battered, walking around, going into the finale. And then when I got there, I was like, time to celebrate the ending of my show that we all love, right? That's how it felt.
Yeah. A little bit for me was the energy of let's just get this over with, which was not something I was happy about because I love this show. I loved it then, and I love the books, and I love the maps, and I have the memorabilia, and I'm surrounded by it, and I wanted to celebrate it. But after the long night was when I started to really disengage from even talking about things I love, including Star Wars, which I talk about professionally online, and I was affected. I was depressed, and it was just kind of like, just do this. Stick the sword in me, stick it into my heart, because I just want to kind of go away and enjoy this show quietly by myself. That said, this episode has, like I said, a lot of big things, a lot of visuals. I'll say it's not one of my favorites in the sense, kind of what you're talking about, Alden, of like, it's even under the best of circumstances, it all can't be the MASH finale or even the Cheers finale. And there's good finales out there, and there's finales that people are happy with overall. Yeah, many. But yes, some of the famous ones are. We just have this. I don't want to. I'm not smart enough to go in deep into what you hinted at, but I just still feel that we go on these journeys, and they become these shared journeys, and we all form attachments, and we all write the scripts in our head, and it's just impossible. And I told the story on the previous episode, the Bells episode, about talking to my neighbor and me saying, before season 8, I think Dany's gonna die. They're gonna turn on her. She's gonna go bad, quote unquote bad, and she's gonna die. And this neighbor was like, "No, absolutely not. They wouldn't do that to my girl." Well, yes, they did. Jared, they did. So take us through some of the big moments as we discuss it.
They did, and this was just from the beginning. You knew you weren't gonna leave with happy tears. It was just. Tyrion, just a couple of quick points. Tyrion finding his brother and sister under the rubble. Jon walking through the city, watching Grey Worm execute Lannister soldiers who are beyond already beaten. And Dany giving, though the war continues, basically speech to the troops. And with Tyrion and Jon standing right there, they don't need to know what she's saying. Yeah. They already they can sense the intentions, and it was heartbreaking in the best of ways for writing. In that, watching Dany's snap in the bells, the understandable snap, how we discussed, it's like, since episode 1, season 1, the world was against her, and we rooted for her to burn the cows, burn the city, execute the masters, and then when she finally did it without us cheering, right there. But, I think Jon's story in this episode particular, I think, is the most heartbreaking, because he, right up to the time he walks into that throne room, I think he wants to believe her. She still is queen. And it's that last conversation he has with her, and it goes right through him. And it's just, I get emotional thinking about it, because it really, like I said, the show meant a lot to me, and how much I loved it. And what sucks is part of the cultural thing. The friends that I watched season 8 with, I explained this to Ken, right from 20 minutes into episode 1 of the season, the main buddy I was watching the show was already hating on it. So by the time we got to this one, he's just talking shit on his phone. I'm just like, bro, like, come on.
Yeah.
In particular, when it comes to the Dany stuff, I will always be of the mind, and as long as Casterly Talk is alive, we'll be analyzing season 8 in some way, shape, or form. So maybe eventually we'll just do the how to tell your kids about season 8, because I do think that, like, I have, like, I don't want to say therapized, I don't know how to say it, but you know what I mean, like, I have almost Clone Wars'd it in my own brain of, like, how that show kind of packaged and softened, and, like, you start to work it through. Like, I've arrived at a place where I feel like the bullet points, if you handed me the plan for season 8, I'm like, that ending makes sense, that ending makes sense, that, like, the where we are for all of them, I will always feel like maybe they could have been full seasons, maybe it could have been, if we're going to do short ones, maybe a 9th, maybe whatever. So I'm always going to have I accept the conclusion, but I feel that my meal was a little thin. But that doesn't mean I hate the conclusion. Like, I think that the tragedy of Ice and Fire that comes together with the two of them, which I know some people just reject, like, and I know that a lot of that is passionate attachment, sometimes going all the way back to the 90s, of, like, some people don't see what I just said. They don't think that Ice and Fire should be a tragedy. Like, they think it's about the unification, and, like, maybe it will be. Like, we don't know. So that's the other thing. Like, I can't say that anyone's wrong if they just reject that on premise, because some people say, like, this was about, the cripples, bastards, and broken things rising above. It shouldn't be about one rising above the other. And I don't even argue that. I don't. But for what they are doing here, for what Kit did, and what Amelia did, like, I think that the acting is amazing. I think it's really sad. I think it looks beautiful. I think Dan and Dave kind of cooked on the framing of it, the Pieta, and the way that the throne room looks all broken with the sky, and it's really, really sick. This many years later, and it's hard to watch in the way I guess it should be.
Yeah, that's the thing too for me. It's hard to watch in the way you're kind of just both describing. But Jared, when you're saying, like, I kind of get emotional, I love these characters, and you're in on the story, and we're talking a lot about the episode. I want to talk also what's in the episode and analyze it years later in terms of the characters' choices and everything. But it was you talk about the visuals and everything like that. Alden, you're describing her walking into the throne room that is destroyed, that she destroyed, and getting up to that throne. And here it is 8 seasons later, or in 20 years or so, if you're a book fan, like, she's actually there. And to have that realization that it's both like ash and snow in that we're going back to that season 2 vision where we all thought it was winter is coming and it's snow, that she's walking in the throne room. And now it's a little bit more of her own destruction. I just thought it was hauntingly beautiful and affecting in a way it was supposed to be. This wasn't an easy decision for the characters and not for the show itself. So I just got pulled in by that stuff too.
No, definitely. And to just hark on the visual aspects, that shot when Dany's walking towards the troops and Drogon gets the wings behind her, turning her into a dragon. That was just the beauty of that shot. And
absolutely,
you know, oh, you can't beat shit like that. And then Drogon shaking off the snow as Jon walks towards the throne room.
Yeah,
I love
it's those
that
little
visual.
details, right? That was
I love that Drogon visual. This is very like English class brain, but I just feel like when I saw that, I remember going full like nerd and being like, "Oh, that's Jon." Like he's walking past himself. Like there's the dragon covered in the snow by the throne that he's not gonna get. That's not gonna work out. Like Jon's walking past a big old metaphor, and I also like the you touched on it earlier of like the war goes on speech and how they don't need to understand her. What I love about that is that you spend years of getting like really moved whenever she hits like a Dovageris. Like you're like, oh, those are my boys, and then you're like, oh no more Dovageris. Like put it away. we need to think this through.
Not Dracarys.
It's the same beats. It's like it's the same words that you've always. Those are the hashtags, man. Like those are the things.
Yeah. So years on, I want to talk a little bit about Tyrion and Jon having the conversation. Tyrion basically saying, "Hey, look, we both love her, but you know what you got to do." I bring this up a lot. This isn't a deep dive into the prophecies of Game of Thrones, but the Azor Ahai and Nisa of it all, the 3 attempts to make Lightbringer that finally happens after he stabs his wife. Like that was all kind of there, and we got these 3 kind of big. Battles going on in this final season, and Jon essentially moving down the map to this moment. I think it works from that point of view. But so, any thoughts on that? Please bring it up. But I just want to go to Jon and Tyrion and Jared at that moment when you're watching it, because this is a revisit of season 8, episode 6. Are you thinking? When does your stomach sink that this is going to happen? He's going to go kill her.
Honestly, I hate to use the words like rooting for him to do that, but it's like, it was one of those, like during the speech, I'm like, oh, Jon, there's a trigger you got to pull, brother. But honestly, they sold me for that hot moment on he's not going to do it. When Tyrion is telling him, you know what you need to do. She's our queen now and the war is over. Jon wants so bad to believe it. Whether he truly does or doesn't, he's going to convince himself on the outside that the war is over. She's going to be fine. Everything's okay. We'll put some paint up around the city. It'll look brand new and whatnot. And so I really thought it's not going to be Jon. Like who's going to snap? And, does Jon, like I thought maybe a duel would happen or something, but no, they had me right up until when they kiss and then you hear the knife. I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Jon, my baby boy, he has truly become a man in that moment. And, duty is the death of love.
Harkening back to that. Alden, take me back to that moment for you too, revisiting this 6 years later, Tyrion and Jon, the conversation. And when he's walking in there, are you thinking, this is it?
I just want to say I apologize for laughing during your great analysis there, Jared. It's just your visual of the painting outside. I just imagined like Tormund on scaffolding, like white paint over King's Landing, writing Queen's Landing, like everybody fall in line, like
right
the Union. When it became clear that it was going to be a clash, I almost started pre-bargaining. Like I started panic deciding like what I thought would be the best way for it to play out, because I was like anticipatory grief is a real thing that I learned about in recent years. But like I'm already expecting to lose her, so then I'm already like, okay, what way makes the most sense to lose her? And honestly, I didn't see. I don't want to characterize it as underhanded, but it is an assassin's tactic. You know what I mean? Like a knife in the gut, the shadowy strike. Like I didn't expect that of Jon. I almost thought that we would get a final plea and then she would try to attack him and he would have to strike her down, like something more reactionary. And maybe a little Shakespearean, like I don't want to do this, and then Drogon like refusing to burn him, and like I expected something like that. Yeah. When it was, this is like dirty work. I was like, this is
it's wet work.
Like, this is really, really
Yeah.
upsetting. Yeah, like I was like, this is upsetting.
Yeah.
And I think it upset him, and I think it is in some ways, I think spiritually, they play really well with Ned's words, right? Like
Yeah.
Ned's words hang over the whole show until it's, you know, his two now grown women daughters that are kind of like, oh, you passed the sentence and I swung the sword, and you realize that it's been reinterpreted. Now we get almost another reinterpretation, which is sometimes we pass a sentence in a closed room and the sword swinging really, really doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Even if you stuck to what your dad said, and he
Yeah.
did. Jon did not back away from his task. Doesn't make it feel good. Doesn't make you feel like Ned Stark.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
There's only one Ned Stark, and we lost him early.
Very early, very early. And what, you know, again, we're revisiting 6 years on. Tyrion talks about 10 years. We'll get to that. I don't want to talk some of the other big decisions, but I want to have a little fun with this kind of moment. Like, Jared, is there another solution that plays out in your mind? We're talking in story. I'm not. This isn't like the writer should have did something. I'm just like in story. As I love to watch these things. You know, Jon's seen Grey Worm and the Unsullied and what is left of the Dothraki. He's seen their hearts are hardened. I'd say for good reason, but their hearts are hardened. He knows that's happening. You know, he hears it. He sees the speech. Everything has probably drawn him to this decision. But do you have any kind of fantasy booking of how this could have gone differently?
Actually, I do remember during the episode when Tyrion says that, you know, she has to die in so many words, and me believing that Jon believes he can't do it, and I'm like, oh no, don't tell me it's going to be Arya, and then Grey Worm and Arya are going to go at it, or Drogon's going to eat Arya. Like, for some reason, I'm just like,
he's overbooking.
Yeah,
he's booking the end of Raw. We're gonna run
right?
it.
Like, I'm just like, you know, because the little conversation they had at the end, you know, tell Sansa she's her queen. It's just like, you don't fuck with Arya, to put it bluntly. Like, that girl makes a decision and sticks to it.
Not
Unless
at that
the Hound
point,
tells her not to.
Yeah.
Not at that point. The last time you could reason with Arya was like 2 weeks before this happened.
Yeah.
You know,
only the Hound can get to her.
Only the Hound. So you're saying that you're like, this is just a big smorgasbord of options and fighting, and you got dragons involved. You're spinning this out.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I love to just jump ahead like 30 seconds in that, the metaphor of Drogon seeing the aftermath and not blaming Jon. Drogon is smart enough in whether it's a mystical way or however, you know, Martin describes how his dragons are, just knowing it's the throne's fault. If that freaking chair wasn't there, Mom would be fine. You know, Jon would be stepdad, and we'd have a great life with two of my other brothers.
Yeah, and I want to get all your big what if, but and later on, maybe there, because again, everyone was primed to hate this. Like you said, your friend Jared, 10, 20 minutes into episode 1 of season 8. And I know something came out of like a description in the script saying that Drogon just randomly burned it. I still don't, I want to say accept that. I just don't think that's how it played out. And I don't think that once they actually got to it in either on the set or post-production, that kind of was what remained from the script. And also, as with any art, it is open to interpretation, and it becomes ours in good and bad ways. And yeah, I'm with you, Jared, on that's how I took it. And so I just, watching it this week twice, still take it as that from Drogon there. Anger, yes. Grabbing Mom and taking her body to maybe back home in a way. But yeah, I do think it was, I enjoyed it for what this show took us on a journey. And as I said, HBO did market who's on the throne, who's going to win the throne. That's how a lot of podcasts ended. Screen Junkies, Lon Harris and I would do odds at the end of every episode that season. We reviewed it of who's going to sit on the throne. Like, without a doubt, the selling of who gets the throne was big, but I enjoyed that statement that this episode was making. But Alden, your thoughts on that, the Drogon of it all, but also could there have been another way?
I don't want to throw this note in to be like snarky at anybody that likes to read the scripts or anything. I'm just doing it for like a general note. Like, a great example, like The Princess Bride is maybe like the peak of fantasy on film. that incredible sword fight early on just says best sword fight ever in the script. Like, we cannot as fans use so the script is not prose. It's for people to do their jobs. So I just think that people have to understand that, like, the directors will write, especially because it's Dan and Dave, the showrunners, like, they know what they mean by that. They're talking to the animators about Drogon. They're talking to Kit and Amelia about the scene. Like, trust me, they can work with their own plan. It's very weird that became a thing to me. But anyway, all the metaphorical stuff. I think that Drogon, like you said, the amount of loss, the losing the brothers, the fact that Drogon did have, short as it may have been, a growth arc of like the Drogon's acting out, and then the Drogons, like Drogon's also had ups and downs, and I think at the end realized, like, if it's intelligent enough to really know, like, this is about what she wanted and I'm gonna burn it, like, that's cool too. But even if it's not intelligence, and even if it's we shouldn't have come here, like, even if it's an animal being like, this is not home, and that's why I love that he doesn't just burn it and then like, it's not like the T-Rex at the end of Jurassic Park making a visual statement. He takes her and peacefully leaves, which I think is like what I really love about it. Not peacefully, I guess. It's definitely not peaceful in what happened.
It could have been
he's
worse.
being peaceful. He dragging people with him. He is choosing peace. But I think that it hits for me in that way. In terms of fantasy booking with the two of them, like I said, I did expect something a little more Revenge of the Sithy, maybe. But I think that is fine. My fantasy booking things are more so about things I can't control, like you said. Like, it's more so like, I would have liked the one more hour of that. I would have liked the Euron and Jaime fight to be very different, if it even happened at all. I would have liked
my favorite.
That type of stuff is different, but this, I'm kind of like, I've come to peace with it in what they want, and I think Kit acts his ass off. So,
yeah, absolutely same. And I think for me, in terms of other options, I it's hard for me to see those options. Reasons seem to be gone. And again, I defend Dany even to this moment. I do think she was done wrong, not necessarily just by Jon in this moment, but by the land. And was, like you said, Jared, from the beginning. It's interesting, after I finished the second viewing of this episode, almost without thinking, I immediately started episode 1 again. And just was like, oh, I'm going to go back, and it hits wonderfully different for me when you see both these characters introduced, Daenerys and the bastard of Ned Stark. It carries extra weight for me personally, knowing where it goes, and extra weight, extra tragedy, and I kind of like that. Yeah. I didn't watch this show to feel happy.
No.
And I also think that there's something about Jon, and this is just larger spiritual, and I'm sure we'll touch on the Stark endings as a package, because they are a package in the way that they're cut. There's something, though, about Jon inheriting, like, I think a lot about what he inherits from Ned, especially as the costume and hair and makeup visually took him closer there over time. Like, the final Jon, well, not the final Jon look. The final Jon look, hair comes back down, and he's kind of like Ultimate Jon. He's kind of like the final Jon. But season 6, Ultra Jon. He's Jon Prime. But like the 6, 7, and most of 8 look is Jon as Ned. And I think it's kind of fitting that he has inherited you will have to carry knowledge for why the world is the way that it is. And you can never really explain it to anybody. Like, only Tyrion will ever understand what the next 100 years of Westeros looks like, and it's because of these moments. And people have their angle on it, but it really is that only Ned and only, I guess, Howland Reed, like that's it.
Bran.
Bran,
This is just the beginning. This happens. We fade out, we fade back up. Some time has passed. And this leads to the other big thing that this episode and the final season is known for. I think we absolutely have to discuss the crowning of Bran the Broken, and that whole meeting there, Jared. Take us through that, and take us through your thoughts, your initial reaction to that.
That was just another, like, the original council of Dany meeting Cersei. That dragon pit, man, makes for great scenes.
Yeah.
The writing was spectacular, but I love how it all came together, and just the idea that, you know, I know Dan and Dave say they don't do themes, but the theme at the end of
they do themes.
Yeah, they don't do post
say,
interviews.
Yeah.
That's what they don't do.
Yeah.
But just the idea of stories, is the reason for a lot. Like you were just saying with Jon. Jon is the way he is because of Ned's teaching and the stories of.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jared. Keep going.
But and just how everybody plays to their heart, to their character. There's not one portrayal of a character in that scene. Everybody is so on point. I even love Samwell's little shot at democracy right at the end. You know,
Yeah.
They will say hundreds of years later on Planetos that Samwell Tarly invented democracy.
I want
to
get quick on that moment there. I want to stop off there, and then Alden, get your thoughts here too of the whole event. But I think, you know, again, countless podcasts back then. Casterly's go out. I'm appearing on other shows. I hosted the Collider show, host the Screen Junkie show. Countless predictions have been made about this show on podcasts. I can't remember everything I said, but I was, for a while, was like, I think the wheel will be broken, and I think democracy might come to the land. And that was always in the back of my head. So when Sam starts speaking, I was like, oh my God, I nailed it. Like it's season 4. And then they all laugh at him, and I laugh at myself thinking, oh yeah, that never would have happened.
I need to throw a question at you, Ken, as somebody, as the person in my life who I think has some of the most like hands-on experience with leadership and different things of that nature. I'm always interested in how you feel about like procedures and stuff. I know I'm making our conversation sound very exciting. I am curious how you feel about the last ditch effort of Edmure Tully. The last bid for Edmure standing up and making his pitch for how he's good at statecraft.
Yeah.
And therefore I usually
had some experience at statecraft.
Jared said it, like every character kind of had plays to their own story, right? And that's a perfect ending for Edmure. Perfect ending. Go back for the moments we met him.
The fact that he's even in the finale is already great.
Already great. And
Robin Aaron. Robin Aaron got in the finale.
Yes.
Right.
Imagine getting that call.
And he had a glow up too, that kid. You know, he went from
So
but actually, one thing about with how that scene played out that maybe I've never really had anybody to talk to about this. So it's a weird thing in my head is he becomes king of the 6 kingdoms because the North will remain an independent thing. But wasn't that the deal with Dany and the Iron Islands? Why isn't he king of the 5 kingdoms? That's a weird, like, I don't, people would call it a plot hole, but I'm just like,
it's one of those things that I feel like you can Clone Wars away with like a one line of like, I think that like, you know, any deals made between the already problematic Iron Islands and the woman that just died are null. You know what I mean? The Iron Islands, the Iron Islands calls itself independent like once a week. So it's like, shut up. Like, we don't believe what you said in private.
Yeah. I get the sense that at some point, maybe within those 10 years, that Yara will try to rise up and be like, I'm sorry. Sorry. But yeah, I'm with Alden on that.
Greyjoy Rebellion.
Yeah. I'm with Alden on that. I think, hey, even if she voiced it, and maybe she did, hey, I made this deal. Everyone's like, yeah, that's, you know, it's like when you pitch a movie or TV show to a network exec and they say go picture, and then they're fired, and the next person's like, yeah, we didn't make that deal. We didn't make that deal. So let's go to the decision. Let's go to the big decision. I think you're right too. And Alden, if you have anything more to say about how this being about stories, and that's kind of meta in a way, but I think that's what this was about. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of, you know, season 3 of Mandalorian has some of my favorite stuff of Bo-Katan talking about myths and things that are just stories we tell children, but then seeing that they're real and powerful and poignant for all of us. That's part of what's going on in that season. But so there's a lot to go into, but Alden, I want to go, let's go to the decision. Bran the Broken. I think some people would have won some bets if you placed it back there. Now we call them prediction markets, but back then I'm sure you could have made some money. Take me to that decision for you.
download Iron Bank to your iPhone today. Yeah, God, I shouldn't have said that on air. That could have been our first Casterly sketch.
Yeah.
Producers, cut that out. I really feel like they're tied together, and this is one of those things that I can't separate. Like I go like into the sense memory of 2019. I remember, and I can't remember who this person was, thankfully, but I will never remember what they said. And it was a viral tweet that was, you know, that Tyrion monologue is just so they can reference back to it in their Emmy speech, so they can say this is for the storytellers. And I think that is the most cynical possible read on why. Yes, I'm not denying that it's meta. I brought that up because you said it is meta, and it is meta. But I think people don't understand the type of meta that it's trying to be. This is my opinion, of course. It's my opinion. I know people have a lot of problems with Dan and Dave. That's fine. But I think that it's not meta in the sense of we're victory lapping us as showrunners. I think it's meta in the sense of, hey, guys, we're aware of the show that we just did too. And when you start to break down every story, you realize that they all hinge on Jon's chiefly and Bran's chiefly. They all hinge on fictions that we perpetuate. All of Robert's Rebellion, a lie. Jon's identity, a lie. We saw how even the whispers of a girl with dragons were shaking. Even Joffrey, who doesn't pay attention to anything, he was like, I'm hearing this stuff. Like everything with Bran, the way that Brienne tries to keep Renly's memory alive. Like she's telling the story of Renly every chance she gets. Like I could do this for 2 hours because that's what the show is. And I think that that's what's meta, is that they're saying, yeah, we also clocked what the show was about. Yeah. And I think that's the good kind of meta. And I think that Tyrion's argument is right. Now, I know where it loses people, which is where it switches from thematic analysis into sales pitch for his choice. And it doesn't lose me there, but I know that that's when people rolled their eyes. And who has a better story than Bran the Broken? Like people wanted him to say, and who has a better story than Sansa Stark? Who has a better story than? And I can see that feeling. I could see that. Yeah. But I also, Tyrion doesn't know that he's on HBO. Tyrion's in the world, and he's making an analytical choice based on the world. It's kind of like, the characters in Star Wars don't know they're in Star Wars. Like we say that a lot, like in talking about it. Like he doesn't know that Sansa maybe has the most compelling narrative for us, and I think that he's making. He's a person who lived in tragedy, trying to prevent tragedy, and he knows that he has access to a one-of-one being who is ultimately, if not, he's weird at this point, and he's not nice at this point, but he is ultimately decent. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I really liked the choice at the time, and I think I like it more. I think the execution of the choice, like you said, was perhaps heavy-handed for me. I like everything what Tyrion's saying. I like the breakdown you got. I'm there for that. And this is a whole show, but you're right, based on stories and prophecies and how the characters interpreted them, right? How the characters told the stories. So I love pulling it back to that. But just in terms of a decision, yeah, I think he was a dark horse candidate along the way, Bran. But I think I liked it. I like the commentary of who should rule, probably the one that wants it the least. And also, by the way, you're going to help me run this as punishment, Tyrion, I think was an interesting thing. So I was happy with it. I understood why other people, we'll talk about the Sansa of it. I think that was a good decision too, both show and story. But yeah, I was fine with Bran the Broken. Still am.
I'm glad you noted the as punishment Tyrion thing. Sorry, Jerry. I mean, to jump over.
No, go for it.
Add to that, like, I also think, and this is me like lovingly challenging our fellow Game of Thrones fans when I say this. I don't really think that the show that in the pilot tells you which role is more important is really like, it's not face value what Bran and Tyrion are doing here. And I really do think that because people were mad at the show at this point, they wanted to take it in the worst possible terms. But I really think I'm in good faith, I think what Bran is saying is you're going to run the realm. Like, that's what he's saying. There's an understanding here. They had off-screen conversations, at Winterfell. Like there is an understanding here that Tyrion Lannister is going to lead us into the new era. Like Tyrion is saying, Bran, you should rule because you don't want it, and Bran is saying, I'll do you one better. You should rule because you don't want it. That's
Right.
I think the subtext of the scene, because
Yeah.
and then you get the first small council and he leaves. Bran doesn't.
I
Bran's
was
like,
gonna
I'm doing
bring that
magic
up.
stuff.
It's like
I do
I'll leave
think
the
that
rest to you
Tyrion
guys.
is- Like, if you want to hashtag HBO for the throne it, Tyrion Lannister wins. Because
Right.
episode 1 tells you the hand wipes. He's
Right.
in charge.
Right. Yeah.
He's doing Tywin, the light side version now.
The light side version. That's where I was going with
That's
that.
a great way to put it, actually.
Yeah. Jared, your thoughts on Bran the Broken?
I mean, Bran, I've said it before on this rewatch, he was my favorite. The magic side of the show is what hooked me more than the politicking and all that is great, top notch, but I was in it for the high fantasy part of it. And, you know, Bran being out of season 5, my baby boy, that one hurt personally for me. You know, worked story wise when he comes back and they dialed up the autism to 11 afterwards. Yeah. But it's just, it works so well for all the right reasons. Having all the stories of being the three-eyed raven, seeing being able to see all the mistakes of the past and knowing how things played out with every decision and just not wanting it again. And then Sansa bringing up the fact that he can't produce an heir. Good. Children of kings are assholes, which also opens up the fun thing. Cause I immediately said, yeah, but that just means we're going to get U.S. politics, where that means people are going to get paid to vote for a certain way later on.
Maybe Sam's democracy
Once
plan
again,
unfortunately comes.
Download Iron Bank.
Iron Bank.
Ed Mirror, baby.
Get your first free bets. 10 bets free when you sign up for Iron Bank.
But
okay.
Bran was great because, again, that's, I feel like, how the story set him up. He's going to learn to fly. To be a king, you got to be able to fly around your kingdom like that and be able to see down on every situation. And he'll probably be the best king Westeros ever had after our boy Vizzy T. You know, he will always be he'll always be our boy, but Bran the Broken, man, that sets up a great precedent for how Westeros can go forward in those 10 years.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a breaking of the wheel, and I think they got a little bit of that there too as well. Of course, I said I liked the Sansa decision. I think that made a lot of sense. I think again, you have so many. It's not just storylines you got to type. You just have so many big players in 8 seasons of this show. And each one of them, has a legion of fans behind them rooting for their particular stories. And so it's going to be hard to thread that needle. Absolutely. But I think this is one that worked for me of Sansa saying, yeah, you're going to be great, but not for me. We're not going to do the Torrance Stark thing again. I have an opportunity to come into my own here as she had been. And I think again, having just watched episode 1 again, just cycling back, I'll start to rewatch all over from where she ends up to where she is now. I'm a big support of Sansa's decision there.
No, Sansa's great. Like I said before, and I love the positioning of her in that council at basically the head of seat, because what I talked about with Ken last time, Alden, was, to me, the story is about not Jon, not anybody else. It's these 3 women, Sansa, Cersei, and Dany. Each one going through the world in their own way, trying to do what's best for all their people in their own way. Well, Dany trying to free the world, Cersei trying to fill the hole in her heart with the world, but Sansa being learning from the worst, learning from the best with Ned, and really being able to put it for the people, or for the realm, as Varys would say.
Yeah, and what I love about it too is, I go into this already. I think what did you say, Ken? That you were that you predicted an independent North? Is that what you said, or you predicted a?
Well, I was looking at democracy. I thought Samuel Tarley's democracy.
Democracy, that's what it was.
Democracy.
You were predicting democracy. I predicted kind of like Galactic Republic. Like I thought it was going to be the dissolving of the Union. Like, so it would just be everybody back to the kingdoms, the pre-Targaryen. Like I thought we were going there, the pre-unification. And it kind of is in a show about compromise. It kind of is the compromise. But what I love about it is, and I love your angle on the three women, these which end up being like these different types of monarchs, and I love that. I had a different women's angle, which was the sisters satisfying, I think, two of the classic like endings of your arcs. And what I mean is, you have a journey, and at the end of a journey, one of two things usually happens. You're Frodo, and you realize that home is no longer the same, and then for Arya goes to the places we've never seen. But then there are many journeys that end with home is all I ever needed. And I think, and that's Sansa, which is she was forcibly removed from home.
She wanted to leave home too. Right. Yeah.
And she wanted to leave, and all she did was suffer. And then because of what she has learned and gained, and I'm not saying every choice along the way obviously was a great move for a woman's story. I know that. But when she does return home, there's no one better for it. Whereas Arya, who I think fancied herself, I could be the next hero of the realm, it was never so simple, and now she's got to be the hero of some other place. And they kind of, and then you know, they're going this way, and then there's Jon, who's uniquely Jon.
We'll talk about Jon here in a second as we look towards. We could go on and on and on, but I also want to leave time to start the reevaluation 10 years later. But yeah, I think you touched on something I really love with Sansa's story of, like, again, revisiting the first episode where she starts. She wants to be a queen, but not a ruler. She wants to be Joffrey's queen. She wants to be the pretty princess in the castle. She's fallen for those stories, and she wants those stories. And just as Arya comes into her own and has the "that's not me" revelations along the way, and now it's going to go west of Westeros. I do hope we get that series. I would be on board for that. Sansa, like you said, Alden, comes into her own and realizes the whole time, this is what I wanted and this is where I should be. And I think it's a good choice, a good, powerful choice. But yes, Jared, one of the final big things we need to talk about is Pouty Jon. He does head north. He's punished. There's a negotiation. I think Grey Worm's fed up. I don't think Grey Worm's happy with it. We're packing up. We're leaving. We're gonna get on out of here. He's got his heartbreak to mend. But Jon goes north and then goes north. Big thing I know personally upset a lot of people in my life.
But you know what, though? Like you said, I scoff when they say his punishment is to go north. I'm like, you kidding me? That's all Jon wants at this point. Jon wants nothing more to do with anything south of this wall. He became a free folk the minute he went north, and oh my God, Ygritte changed him for the best. Yeah, and
of course,
that is perfect for Jon. And I do, just as a book reader and just, you know, an encyclopedia nerd of the world of Westeros and whatnot, it breaks my heart that he's going towards the Isle of Narth, because that is a very diseased place if you're not from there. If you know your book lore, if you're not born there, the bacteria and the plant life and everything basically will kill you horribly.
Yeah, maybe they picked up some medicine along the way. I want happiness for Grey Worm. I want happiness.
No, I want happiness. That's why I'm just breaks. I'm like, oh, she should have told you more about Narth.
Grey Worm is honestly, this is a complete side note, but it'll 2 seconds to say it. Good. Grey Worm is one of the most justified finale characters in all of his anger and all of his choices. The Missandei thing would have, after everything, I didn't like what was maybe happening, but I was never. This is out of character. I was, man.
Always in character. Always.
Man.
But Alden, Jon goes north. He goes north, the true north, the real north.
Yes, he goes north. And this is another instance of, I think the narrative at the time was, they don't know how to write Tyrion anymore. He's dumb. This is a strategic decision. This is I am getting you a punishment to set you free, man. Like, again, if you're watching this in good faith, you know you can't sentence somebody to an order that no longer actually exists. The wall came down. The wall's down. The wall came down. The evil was destroyed. We were there when it was destroyed. He's sentencing him to a part of the map. He's not sentencing him to a job. The job's not there. There's no job. I don't know what the Night's Watch is after that, and no one does. And I think Tyrion is smart enough to know that. And so is Jon. So he gets there. We get the Dan and Dave showing you Ghost, so you stop tweeting.
Yeah.
Stop tweeting. Well,
Yeah.
Hey,
please stop tweeting.
Those were important tweets to have, though.
Oh, they were
We need our
important
good boy.
tweets. They were important tweets while they were happening, because it was kind of like a no way.
Mhm.
He
Right.
shows up, he's been through it.
Yeah.
And I think it's we talked about this in our recent news episode about the canceled Snow sequel. What you think about this entirely depends on how you interpret the True North, how you interpret the sentence, how you interpret where he was happy, how you interpret the Ken, we've talked about this a lot, the death and rebirth of the Battle of the Bastards, that he was a man with a death wish who then comes out of that battle restored. There's a lot going on. I think, I touched on the visuals. He's got his hair back down. He's back to sort of the iconic Kit Harington Jon, but older, scarred up. So is Ghost. They go through, and what I think it's saying is it's not important if he's going to lead the Free Folk. It's not important if he's the new man. It's not really important. What's important is, to me, he laid his true love to rest out there. That's where Ghost is from. The wall is gone. And I just think it's a matter of, he resisted, like you said, Jared, like he resisted having to kill Dany because he wanted her to be true. Because he didn't want Alistair Thorne to be right about, like, you'll always be fighting these battles. And I think this is the ultimate victory of Jon Snow, is to say, Alistair Thorne mentioned in the final rewatch. Yeah. I think it's that Jon's ultimate victory is, oh, you think that I'm going to fight their battles forever? Well, I'm leaving all the kingdoms. I'm leaving all the battles. And what happens next? Like, look, they could get jumped by a rogue giant 10 minutes after, and then Jon has to kick some ass. I'm sure he kicks a lot of ass for the rest of his life. He's Jon Snow, but he's retired, and I think that's peace.
Yeah. No, and just to speak on that canceled show, I am in a weird way happy that show's not happening, because again, I'm not a writer. I'm sure they can make it work, but to me, it's like only one of two things happen. One, he has like the Goodfellas ending where he's just a nobody in a suburban who doesn't amount to anything, can't even get good Italian food, or it's as you guys, I think you guys talked about on your thing, the complete PTSD breakdown where he's just gone crazy and stuff. And I don't think I wanted to see either one of those. I like leaving Jon on that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I always imagine a in between. I always imagine, it's hard to get away from Star Wars, but like, I always imagine Ben Kenobi, where it's like, I don't want to do this right now. And I think that Sansa and Bran are the future. But I do think that if Sansa's like, the North is under threat, there is a 0% chance that Jon misses that. Like he there's too much love in his heart. Like he will show up. So
yeah. I'm with you. Right, we're kind of in the center of it is where I would have wanted. And I was, when the news was first announced that Kit and his team were maybe working on this idea, I was all for it. And it kind of would have been, it would have been hard to avoid it being a de facto season 9. In a lot of ways, but then to hear the pitch, it wasn't that it was too dark. It was very realistic. I think, that ending is up for your own personal interpretation. I think there's some peace. I took it as some peace. I took it as a little bit of Sir Alistair's words being right. But also, again, how many times do I say this? But I say this a lot in real life when people, in good faith, approach some thoughts on season 8 or share their thoughts on what they don't like about season 8. I think they forget season 3. And I think they forget Mance Rayder sussing them out. Sniffing him out. Oh, you want to be a hero. It is not unlike Luke Skywalker. I want to be a Jedi like my father. I want to be a great warrior. Wars don't make one great, and you're going to have to throw down your weapon to win the day. That's kind of what's going on with Jon from the beginning, but also picks up in season 3. We talked about what it meant for Dany, but having that moment with Mance, being like, I know who you think you are. You think you're the good guy. You have nothing. And your journey is not about being a hero. It's something different. And this was, to me, the different. It worked for me, but I know a lot of people upset who are big Jon Snow fans who felt this is his story. And it's Song of Ice and Fire. I do think Jon and Dany are kind of on the marquee, but they were upset that he didn't kill the Night King. They were upset that he didn't take the throne. They just wanted Jon to win because he was their guy. And I say that with love, like I got it. But that wasn't the story they were telling. That wasn't the story they're telling. They were telling this story. Jon going to the True North worked for me in that level, in that regard.
Yeah. No, Jon had also, I just had a thought in real time when you were saying that, like, Jon never, right until basically we leave the show and he goes north, he never knew what he was. Everybody throughout the show is correctly telling him who he is. Ned at the beginning,
Right.
no matter what, you're a Stark, you're a good man, there's honor in your blood, Mance Raider. Oh, you want to be a hero and whatnot. And it just goes on and on. Everybody who
Torment
anytime
with
Jon
the
gets,
real North.
yeah, you know, anytime somebody calls Jon's shit out, they're right. And it finally all hits him at the end. It's like, yep, time to just go be a good dude up north.
Yeah, and I don't think he does it with full happiness. I never took that final shot as like, yeah, see ya, bitches. Like I took it as that guy's got some weight hanging on his shoulders, and as he would. So, yeah, I'm fine with that ending there. You know, it is to me the journey of Jon. Any other final thoughts here on this big episode, and wrap it up here, Alden, too, with your overall thoughts, because we are almost at that 10-year mark. So 6 years on or so. What do you think of Tyrion's words and the big decisions made in this show and in this episode?
There is a part of me that is just a very me thing, that I just like it when an artist has the bravery to say, I think it's very George Lucas, the bravery to just say, this might not hit for you right now. It's that Back to the Future meme, right? Like, your kids will get it. Like, they know like that kind of, like, I respect the guts that takes to be. I'm not saying the Game of Thrones season finale was ahead of its time and you'll understand it later. I'm not saying that. But what I mean is, like, the balls it took for Dan and Dave at that level of pressure to shoot their shot and walk away before they saw if it went in, I think was very, very cool. In that level. But then, yeah, emotionally, I think it has changed for me over the years. I've become, in the way that I look at art, I've become more into the idea of, like, synthesis and how characters combine things. And now I look at, like, when I looked at Sansa back then, for example, so I'll use Sansa, I liked the ending. Now I love the ending because I think more about the parts of Kat that are in there. I think about how, she resisted Kat so much when she was a young girl, and then there's a lot of Kat that comes out, especially in those later years, and how Jon, Arya, and Sansa getting their endings intercut as that montage is my favorite part of the finale, and the mirrored shots of their walks and getting the gear on. I get, this is where I get emotional. Like, Ned is in there, Kat's in there, even Rickon, like, everybody along the way, blood and not blood.
R.I.P. Rickon.
Rickon, like, everybody that was kind to them. Sandor, obviously, I'm not even going to call him the Hound. I'm going to call him Sandor. Everybody that was there that made sure that these kids could make it when it seemed like this house wasn't going to make it. And they are everybody. They're all the Jedi. I know you love that movie, everybody. I know you love that one too.
Yeah, there you go.
You're not wrong, but no, it's the most important house in the show. And honestly, even going to Hot D, the Stark house is, without failing, they are the house of honor, the house of their word. Like, they put their people first. They know how to do it right.
Yeah.
It's just, that's what House Stark needed, and they got it at the end. I love how you put it, that they have Catelyn and Ned in there, and how these three finished and grew up. And it's fucking beautiful. You just say it. That is great ending, because they each are true to their word, true to their characters, grow up in such a great way, and leave everything perfect. The legacy they leave for the Stark family going forward is a beautiful one.
I hate to tack this on in the way that I'm about to. I'm sorry, Ken.
No,
but I realize that we're at an hour, which we tried not to do, and I apologize for rambling. But I realized that we didn't touch on the small council. Most of what I just said also applies to the small council, with a couple exceptions of things that are a little cheesy. But I will say that the Brienne in the Book of Brothers is, I feel, equally as emotional. I think that it is. Yes, a rocky road. Yes, the Jaime stuff does not. People don't like that. I get it, man. I get it. I hear you. I hear you. I'm just talking about the book. That shit is storybook beautiful to me. I sobbed watching her, and she looked so good in the armor. Anyway,
Lord Commander.
Podrick too. Podrick too.
Podrick and Knight.
Actually,
yeah.
And speaking of brave things Dan and Dave did, we still don't know what Podrick did in that brothel or what Tyrion did with that honeycomb and jackass.
Absolutely. You got Sam is going to pick up the book, and write about all of this, Song of Ice and Fire. It's, I don't know if that is in your little cheesy bucket, Alden, but it's on the nose. But
no, I like that. That I like, because that's Lord of the Rings. Because that's Martin can't help that he can't help escape the Aragorn thing that he put into the DNA of like the reaction quality. In the same way that his Dark Materials is a reaction to Narnia, this is in some ways always going to be responding to the trappings of fantasy that Martin liked. And that is, I think, Dan and Dave doing Frodo and Sam with the book. And then I will also say that the Stranger Things finale has Mike become a writer at the end. And I think that was them also doing Frodo and Sam. And I am a sucker for that trope. I'm a sucker for the let's write it down. Yes, R2-D2 does remember the Star Wars.
There you go.
Being straight. Hey, Willow, at the end of the series, we get volumes 1, 2, and 3 on the shelf.
Yes, Willow is also a book. Yes. Yep.
There it is. Well, there could be much more to say. Years on, we'll still kind of reevaluate. I just want people to see it for themselves. I think years removed from the hubbub around the final season and the final choices, it's still there. I have a lot of people in my life who are like, I love Night of the Seven Kingdoms after season 8 burned me, and they didn't even watch House of the Dragon. And I do get it. I just think sometimes it spins out of what is actually on screen and just becomes this pop culture zeitgeisty thing. I was having dinner with some family members and their friends not too long ago, and one of them was like, I never started Game of Thrones, but I want to, but one of my friends said don't, because it's just going to let you down. And I got kind of not mad at them, but I just kind of was impassioned. I was like, don't do that. That's not true, number one. I think I'd love to hear their reasons, and I bet they're wrong. I bet they're not full of media literacy. And also, find out. Take that journey. Take that journey. And years removed from the podcasts and the Twitter sphere and all that stuff, you might find a different journey for yourself there.
Definitely. I mean, I have the reaction that people have to season 8 to that last shot and scene of The Sopranos. God, I love that show, and I hate that ending. But whenever somebody asks me about Sopranos, I'm like, watch it. That was a phenomenal show. I have never rewatched it because I hate it so much. But to tell somebody not to experience something that you got passionate about, whether that passion you fell apart for you or not, the passion was there. Why not let somebody else enjoy that or be able to discuss it with you? Who knows? They might agree, they might disagree. And that's what should be the beautiful thing about art. Art is not wrong or right. It is how it makes you feel. And that should stay personal to you.
I agree with that. Big well said on that one there. As we close our Game of Thrones rewatch, we did it. I do want to again pay special thanks to you, Jared, for Alden. I kept Casterly talk afloat when I had finally walked away and just done talking about all this stuff. But it was a world I loved so much. So thanks to you, Alden, for keeping Casterly going with Willow and Rings of Power. But Jared, you calling into the blather and saying, look, Mother Trucker, we're going to talk about Game of Thrones, whether you like it or not. It's been fun. And I have a lot of fun revisiting the show. And even though I carry a lot of passion and get a little defensive and will argue with people at bars over defending season 8, because I love it, that's kind of faded away from me too. And I can just crawl back into the show and enjoy the world as well. So, Jared, thanks for that, my friend. Final word from you on this journey.
Oh, no, thank you for, as Alden once said on one of your other shows, bullying works. And we'll get you on the DS9 train eventually. We haven't stopped that bullying train. But no, I am more than honored to have done this rewatch with you and to get to the point where you told me to put a shirt on, for, if you know, from the blathering, and get pretty for the camera. And then Alden, again, I have always loved your work as well, and how you support those great little shows. Again, I am a harsh Willow defender as well, movie and series. That deserves so much better. But this channel has meant a lot to me, Casterly Talk in general, because
Thank you.
like your Force Center channel, Ken, it's you don't have to love everything, but let's celebrate it. And that means the world to me, honestly. And again, thank you both for everything you guys have done for this space.
Hey, greatly appreciate it. Don't even want to say you're welcome. Just want to say tip the cap to you. Sir. You make it possible. Our audience and listeners and viewers have always made it possible. So, hey, there's a podcast out there if you like the podcast version. But if you're watching on YouTube, do the subscribe, comment, all those things. And I'm sure some people will say we're wrong about season 8, and that's part of the fun. I only ask that you just don't be an a-hole about it. I have grown tired of the, oh, come on. Yes, come on. I've got years of reasons why I love this show on audio recordings, on video. It's real to me. I love it. Still real to me, damn it. No. So engage, please.
Yes.
But engage.
Yes, like,
faith.
share, subscribe, all those fun things.
There you go. Alden and I will roll on. Casterly Talk will continue. We're going to gear up for House of Dragon Season 3. So a lot of stuff in the works. All right. That's it, my friends. We'll see you next time here on Casterly Talk.